So I'm heading up the range just to the north of Townsville to do a little bit of recording and bring you guys tonight's postcards from the Fringe episode. And up in the mountains, there's just a little bit of a sighting on the side of the highway, almost at our destination, to tell a really nice little ghost story. The place that I'm going to is probably better known for its hospitality than its ghost story. But I've stopped on this sighting just to have a quick look at the view, and something's caught my eye that would be remiss of me if I didn't record it. So not so much paranormal or ghostly in origin, but definitely a bit of a head scratcher. So I'm going to pick everybody up. Now we're standing, there's a bit of a rocky outcrop just above me. You can only see the grass, but there's a number of big boulders that are just in behind it, and lots of nooks and crannies and hidey holes. But just walking down this way, as you can see, there's a bit of a path that cuts around the side of the mountain here, and there are a number of footprints, animal footprints, that are in this little track here. There's no human footprints, no boot prints or shoe prints, so I'm pretty certain that no one's been walking their dog, because there are some really large tracks that are in here. Now I'm just going to flip everybody around, and as you can see, there are a number of big tracks up around here, but there's a nice clean one that's just here, and I'm going to give everybody a quick look at it. As you can see, there are 3 toes and claws and the big pad at the back. But if we have a look at the size of this big footprint, it's literally the size of my hand. So very, very large print. And these prints, more of them, some more scratching there. Head off on this other little track down the hill, and as you can see, there's plenty of little hidey holes in between these big boulders, just on this little outcrop that looks out over the valley back down the range towards Townsville and the ocean way off in the distance. So yeah, incredibly interesting. It's a massive, what looks like a dog print. A little bit hard to tell because of the pad at the back, but again, if it's from a dog, it's on its own, and it's incredibly large. So that animal is living out here in the bush somewhere. So I've come up to an area known as Thornton's Gap. It's on Hervey's Range. It's probably about half an hour north of Townsville, to visit the Hervey's Range Heritage Tea Rooms. So it is the oldest still existing house in North Queensland, dating back to about 1866, and is also said to have a resident ghost that pops through the building from time to time as well. I think they used to have some ghost tours here back a decade or so ago as well. But before we go in and have a little bit of a look at some of the incredible architecture of this building, we'll cut to a video and have a bit of a look of the site's history first. So here we go.
Borrowed, courtesy of the Heritage Tea Rooms website, Hervey's Range Heritage Tea Rooms began its life as the Eureka Hotel, built by pioneer settler Charles Saville Rowe in 1865, which was just 1 year after the seaside township of Townsville was first settled. The site is situated in Thornton's Gap atop Hervey Range, which rises 1,000 feet or 300 metres above the plains below, and sits on the old Georgetown Road, which was the main road from the port of Townsville to the goldfields and pastoral areas to the west and the north. The tea rooms that you're able to visit today are a remainder of days gone by. The internal structure is the original hand-adzed hardwood construction from 1865. The heritage-listed building remains one of the few slab-sided inns left standing in Australia, and is the oldest building of its type in North Queensland, a fine example of early architecture. From 1867 to 1875, the property was owned by William Randall. It was purchased in 1875 by William and Johanna Rolfe. During their time as owners, they changed the name of the hotel several times. The Sanitarium in 1873, Rolfe's Hotel in 1882, the Range Hotel in 1886, again in 1895, and back to the Eureka in 1891. In 1883, William died at the hotel as a result of a horse riding accident, and Johanna carried on the business with the help of her children. When Johanna died in 1895, the hotel passed to her son Walter, then Augustus, until about 1901. Jack Andrews, brother-in-law to Walter and Augustus, held the license around 1903. He decided to remove the northern half of the building and transport it down to Townsville to start up a new hotel. However, his dream was never realised as it was destroyed in a cyclone, perhaps Leonta, in 1903. The hotel lost its licence in 1908. It was used as a boundary rider's hut until it was sold by Dotswood Holdings to the Moody family in 1931. William and his wife Ida and their children Edna, Hector and Kevin made the property their home until 1953. Mrs. Moody called the property Glenhaven and was well known for her weekend parties, where guests enjoyed singing, dancing and listening to music into the early hours of the morning. The property was then sold to the Fryer family, a local pioneering family who had been living on the range since 1915. From 1969 to 1984, the property was leased to Stan Ralph, who ran his horse trail riding business called Hervey Range. During that time, the very popular annual rodeo and camp draft was run with local charities being the main benefactors. In 1984, the property was sold to Bill and Dell Greet to be used as a weekend retreat, with Bill and Dell setting about planting the many trees including the mango orchards surrounding the tea rooms. They also built the small caretaker cabin at the rear of the main structure. After the death of Bill, Mrs. Greet sold the property to Alan and Michelle Sharp and their sons Dominic and Mason in 2000. After several years of painstaking restoration, Hervey's Range Heritage Tea Rooms opened on May the 20th, 2005. In the years that followed, the Sharps added tunnel tours utilising the nearby disused Greenvale Railway Line tunnels, ghost tours and quad bike tours. Under their ownership, the tea rooms received many accolades and in 2009 was inducted into the North Queensland Tourism Awards Hall of Fame. The current owners, Russell and Desley Ralph, purchased the tea rooms in October 2013, thereby reigniting their family's association with the property.
Now, the old Heritage Tea Rooms building behind me is an incredible old building. Like you would have seen in the video, it's the oldest existing or still existing house in North Queensland, so all the way back to 1866, and just incredible hand adds timber walls inside, and also a bit of a museum of various bits and pieces and history of the house over time. So what I'll do is I'll flip everyone around, and just so we don't disrupt some of the other people who are here at the Heritage Tea Rooms, it'll be a little bit quiet, but I'll take you for a very, very quick stroll through the building. So again, some of the photos of William, Francis, Walter and Johanna Rolfe that are now on that private property and no longer accessible. This incredible hand adds timber wall that goes through here, so many decades of history. So, having had a bit of a look at some really weird, gigantic dog prints up on Hervey's Range, and also the heritage tea rooms up there, so the oldest still existing house in North Queensland, I did have intentions of trying to locate the oldest still existing grave in North Queensland as well. Now, it's located in the bush just underneath where the heritage tea rooms are. There used to be a village. There was one or two pubs and a butcher's and a sort of little settlement that was at the bottom of the range, because timber used to be pulled back and forward through here, as well as supplies going out to the gold fields. Now, in that little village at the bottom of the range, before the road sort of cut up around the mountain in through Thornton's Gap, there is a little graveyard as well, and it's the oldest still existing grave in North Queensland. So what I might do is I'll throw up a photo here, and I'm going to throw up a photo of it for a very good reason. So here we go. Okay, so unfortunately that's about as close to this grave as we're going to get. I'm not sure if you can see, but it's raining yet again, so fantastic North Queensland. Great to see that they're getting some rain, but it's making some of these dirt roads almost impassable, if not impossible, to navigate. So the end of the road that's up near the tea house where I could have gotten into this grave is just washed out in an absolute mess. But there is an area or another section of the road that I can come in, I was hoping to come into at the bottom, but as we can see from, where is it, the sign there, no unauthorised vehicles in this area, and council officers patrol this area and penalties apply by order of Townsville City Council. So it definitely looks like we're not going to get in from the bottom end here either. I would have loved to have gone in and seen it. Maybe another time when it's a bit drier and I can come in from the top end, because there doesn't seem to be any signs up at the top end stating that we can't come through, but I'm assuming it's because of these high tension power lines that we're under. So that being said, it's been a great little adventure up here through Hervey's Range. So not much of a ghost investigation, as it was a little bit of a resident ghost that's said to be attached to this oldest still existing house in North Queensland, and the oldest existing grave somewhere out there in the Lantana and the bushland, just directly under where the heritage tea rooms are. So thanks again for joining us. Again, like and share the video around if you're up in Townsville, or you're ever planning to get up this way and check out sort of the oldest house and have a bit of a scope around. It's an incredible little building that they've got up on top of the hill. And I'll catch you for tomorrow's episode.